Welcome in 29ers. Jason Matheny here from the mothership in Houston, Texas. After a week off, Terry Cushman, we are back on the air, and I don't know. I don't think this was a show we were ever going to do on this program, but here we are. Few things going on recently.
It's been a wild ride, and it's been an uncomfortable one. And I personally didn't want to do last week's show because there were some developments that day, and I wasn't in the best frame of mind to come on here and try to focus on that. But yeah, and then the week got more interesting.
Yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do here, folks. Right. I think most people listening to this program are kind of aware of the things that are going on, but I'm going to put on my journalism school hat, right? From the University of North Florida, was my prestigious college. The Ospreys, swoop is what we say at the basketball games. But I'm going to do my best, like, I don't know, Pablo Torre impression, or, I don't know, like, pick your journalist. Do you have like a favorite baseball journalist, Terry? Are you like a Ken Rosenthal guy, or
He's my guy. I think Jeff Passan has probably exceeded him at this point or surpassed him, but
okay.
I really trust Rosenthal, and I think he handles things in a really classy way.
I agree, and I had some personal dealings with him for my old job. He was a super nice guy, although I hate the bow ties. Just personal taste, like any dude wearing a bow tie, it's a very look at me move. I can't stand it. Like if you're Pee Wee Herman or Bill Nye, you can wear a bow tie, but nobody else is allowed. Just my own take.
I support that 1000%.
All right. So again, I put on my journalist hat this week, and I made a lot of phone calls about this. Spoke to a lot of people, some people willing to speak on the record, some people not so much. And what I want to do is try to bring facts to the equation here. Right. I feel like our job, right? This show is not affiliated with the ACC, so we can say whatever the heck we want. Right. But I still want to be responsible and do this the right way. So here's what we're going to talk about this and just try to stick to facts as best as we can. Right. It's Terry and I are both going to opine about how we see this and do this as we can. And we're still going to have some fun, right? The idea, we'll see how long this conversation goes. We're still going to try to do fantasy draft and talk about hands and the long match and all that stuff. But this is something I feel like serving you all as the audience is we're not doing our jobs if we don't talk about it. So let's start with the facts, right? There is a high level player in the Central region who has been accused of cheating. And I feel like, I feel like it's okay to say the person's name because they, like I said, I feel like those accusations are out there. There's somebody I know who made a very public Facebook post that brought a lot of this to light. I have no idea who that person is, but it's Dave Aiello. And what I will say, right, all these accusations are alleged. So let me make that very, very clear. So again, he has been accused of deck manipulation. We're gonna go later into just kind of talking about like cheating and vigilance in general, but like I will go as far as to say I don't know. Like everybody I'm sure has an opinion on this thing, but the fact is he's been accused of this, and there is an official process that has to go through. And I think for the listeners that aren't aware, there's like a process of what you need to do if somebody does things, right? And it starts with writing a letter to the ethics committee. So if you see somebody doing wrongdoing, whether it be like, I don't know, like a cheating accusation, or like a, I don't know, like a rude thing or something like that, acts that are inappropriate, that's how you go about it. Then they read the letters, right? And go through that process. So I reached out for comment from James Moore, ACC president, and I'm going to read that off. Here's what he has said. The ethics committee follows the policies and procedures laid out in the ACC policy manual. A letter from a witness is needed to begin an investigation with an explanation of what happened with names. The letter has to be signed, not anonymous. The committee then begins an investigation into the allegations. If the allegations are found to be true, then actions are taken. The accused have due process and 30 days to respond. The ACC has no comment on any current open investigations or complaints that may still be in process. On behalf of the Ethics and Executive Committees, ACC President James Morrill. So reading that off, I think that's important to go through that. Like I said, I spent a lot of time on the phone yesterday on Monday. Terry, I'm very glad that I don't have a cell phone plan that I have to get charged by the minute. Like, you remember those days?
Yeah.
You did that?
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time talking to a lot of folks, including the accused, including to Dave, who was open and really willing to talk about any and all of it. So I'm trying to think if there are any specific facts that, and fill me in, Terry. Like, I know you were, like, let's be honest, you were one of the ones that wrote a letter on this, right? Like, what facts am I missing in this equation that you want to speak to or not?
I mean, I think my letter speaks for itself in terms of my observations. They seem to match those of a couple other people. And that's all I can say. I mean, I've got plenty of observations I can share.
Okay.
But I will say I'm comfortable with what I saw. I saw what I saw over and over and over again. It wasn't just 2 times. I'll also say this. I never intended to become a key player in this. When I was in Wisconsin the first weekend of January, the first weekend of the new year, I could have wrote a letter then. Like, what I saw was damning enough. I could have wrote a letter then. And I chose not to because I viewed it as a central region issue. I thought they had a strong pulse on it. I don't play with this guy that often. I happen to have played with him a lot in the last month because I've had a lot more flexibility to travel, and he happened to be at some of those tournaments. But it's not like I really have a big dog in the fight here. I'm just trying to do the right thing. And then when things went down in Florida, we were just kind of completely blown, and everybody that knew something had to submit it then. And I did make observations in Florida as well. But, I hate the fact that this has all gone down the way that it has. I don't like the way it's been handled. From an official standpoint, I'm not ready to speak on specifics of that, but there's some disturbing things that have happened in this process, in the investigation, that make me even more uncomfortable. And some of the process is playing out. That's why I'm not willing to get into specifics right now. Like, we're probably weeks out from getting into that, but it's this is a very unfortunate thing, and it's even more unfortunate that it hasn't been handled well at all.
And again, right, I say this is a bit, but the opinions expressed by Terry Cushman do not necessarily represent that of Jason Matheny and the Competitive Cribbage Podcast. Send your comments, as you will, to cribbagepodcast@gmail.com, like subject line like F Terry or something like that, right? But no, I just want to emphasize all these like charges are alleged, right? Like and I think it's something, and I don't envy so many of the people in this, right? Like, I don't envy like James Morrow or anybody else in the ethics committee, like having to deal with this stuff. That's got to be a terrible job. Having to go through and like make these choices, do these things. There are processes. I can't even say the words right. But like, I would just encourage anybody that when, like if you see something, write the letter, put your name on it. Right? They can't accept an anonymous letter. They can't this and that. And if you see somebody doing something inappropriate, I would encourage everyone to do the right thing. Just, come forward, put your name on it, be part of that. And just like, right, I'm a big believer in transparency. It's just like it's funny when we were planning on doing this show, right? I thought we were going to talk about like the Hall of Fame and all this other stuff. And I've always talked about, right, like put your name on your ballot, right? Say who you're voting for and who you're not. And I know some people don't like that, but I also understand, right? You can't jeopardize an investigation necessarily by putting everybody's like dirty laundry out there. So there are processes with these things. I don't envy those who are going through it. So I don't know. I just feel like the entire organization, whether it be like publicly or not, are talking about this thing right now. To me, this is the largest like scandal or issue that I've heard within the organization since I've started playing cribbage. So let me run back through some of the facts really quick here. So again, um, had a conversation with Dave, and one of the things I want to note that he said is, me trying to like scribble down notes is I'm having phone calls with people. I don't recommend it for anyone, but he said all of these, meaning the allegations, are 100% false, is what he says, and he says I think this whole situation could have been avoided. Take that for what it's worth. And he says that he is currently on probation and that he is appealing. Let me see who else I spoke to that I'm comfortable with speaking about. But like I spoke to many, many people, including some of the ones that wrote letters. And there were a couple of people that just, again, right, not willing to talk with me, and that's okay. That's all right. But like Terry, you comfortable talking here about like what you saw, right? Your point of view, what you saw as the allegation. We don't have to do this part of it, right? I do want to have a deeper conversation in a minute here about cheating at large and the things that we've seen. And I feel like we as an organization can do much better in just being vigilant when you're playing. There are a lot of different ways to cheat in cribbage, but before we go to that, there's just, anything you want to add in terms of what you saw, the process, anything like that.
Well, I've already alluded to the fact that I'm uncomfortable with two specific aspects of the investigation. And my reasoning for making my letter public was exactly that. I'm like, well, I don't know how it's going to be resolved in the end, from an official standpoint. So, and I'm not confident I guess I shouldn't speak on that, but my decision to release it was to make everybody aware of what's going on, just in case it didn't come out in the end. I guess that's the best way to do it. And, and so if you haven't read it, it is up. You can go right to the Competitive Cribbage podcast account. It's extremely detailed. And so that's why I decided to go public with it.
Okay. Right. And that's your right. Right. And it's, it's one thing, and I'll encourage this to everybody else, right? Like if you want to write stuff on your own personal social media pages, right? You're allowed to do that, right? Doing that on the ACC page is not okay. Right. I think, like if you want to blast somebody, again, your own page, I think is the right way to do that. So my hope is that the process goes through, and that, right, and this, to me, this is a true tragedy about all this, is that I feel like there's going to be a very, very limited clarity on this, right? I don't know if I can't know what's in a person's head, right? I can't know if somebody truly is cheating or not. They really are the only ones that know that. There's levels of like sureness, but so okay. Well, I think that's all I can really feel comfortable saying on that. Like I said, I spoke to a lot of different people on this, and maybe there will be more to it in the future. Thank you to the folks who were willing to talk to me about this. And there were some that were just downright, willing to just gab and say, yeah, this is what I saw. This is what I did. This is what happened in my point of view. So like good on all of them. And I know there's like history of things like this happening in ACC. Like I had found out that I guess there was a former like multiple champion who had been tossed, like expelled from the organization. So that's a dicey thing. So anything else before we move on from this, Terry? I saw like the chat. I think I'm okay with where we're at with this. Like, I don't know if there's anything else we want to add. I don't know if there's anything else to really say. It's a tough spot, period. That's all there is to it.
It's extremely unfortunate.
And, yeah, it's just a bummer. It's just a bummer more than anything, right? We love this game. We had great time in Phoenix, right? We haven't talked about the Phoenix tournament.
It was probably more comfortable for you than it was me, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, complexities to all of it. Well, at this point, let's talk about the Phoenix tournament a little bit, and then we'll, like I said, I do feel like there's a valuable discussion to be had about like just awareness of things, and like I don't know, like you and I have both seen people that we've deemed to be like cheating in this game, and I think there are ways that are not that difficult to stop that, but I don't want to bury the headline. Like the most important thing out of all this is that Terry Cushman had Indian food while he was in Phoenix.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And
It, it was
and
it was edible.
I mean, that's hardly an endorsement. You seem to like it. Was it good? Would you call
Um
it good?
it was okay. I mean, I ate the portions were huge, so there was no way I was going to eat it all, but it was okay. I don't think it's something I'm going to explore a ton more, but I'm glad I did it to say I did it.
Yeah.
And I had, what was it? It was
And biryani, I believe,
the
is
beer
what you had.
chicken biryani. Yeah, the rice had some spices in it. The chicken didn't seem to be overly spiced or seasoned, but it was okay.
All right, we'll take it. I applaud you for trying it. That's more than a lot of people with that. What I do think was really funny from that experience is when it first came out, you were trying it. You're like, yeah, this is okay, and this is yeah, it's not all that spicy. You're like, oh,
Yeah, that's true.
it's like a 5 out of 10, a 6 out of 10. And as the meal went on, you're like, eh, maybe this is a little spicier than I thought it was. It's like kind of catch up on you.
It worked its way up to an 8, I would say, to the point where even my lips were burning, and I'm like, yeah, I kept going until I was full, but yeah.
Well, it's definitely a fun tournament, and credit especially I'll note like Bob Milk and his crew of folks. Trying to remember all of them off the top of my head, and I'll fail miserably there. But yeah, dealing with some tricky situations that day, and I feel like the tournament went off like quite well. And I liked that. I don't know, all of us in like the Houston house, including adopted Terry Cushman, got a little something out of the tournament. Right. You had like a Final Four and a con, I believe, right?
I did. I just I had the rug kind of pulled out from under me. My opponent had a 17, then he had a 14 hand and a 5 crib, and then a 20 hand. I was at the skunk line as that started going sideways, so I was in good shape. And so I would have had a chance to play a final against Eric, as it would have turned out, and didn't get that opportunity. But I've won so many like that, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, yeah, it's still a good result on the whole. And like I had a pretty good weekend too. Like I was high qualifier in the main, which was a cool thing for me. Like one of maybe the best scorecard I've ever had. Like I had a 35-17 in that thing. Pat myself on the back real hard here, but yeah, cards were hot for me that day and had a good time. Smashed up Brian Gurdon in the playoffs, which is just a joy upon itself. Don't care if I won another game the rest of the weekend, but doing that is right. Like if you get to bust up the freaking points leader, right? Is there anything better?
Not other than winning it, no.
No. I mean, like yeah, of course I'd rather win it, but little fringe benefits in that. So, all right. So I want to talk about this. Let's kind of cycle back to kind of the cheating things or the things that the unethical things that we've seen people do at the cribbage table. And right. So like, and what I want to do is make this a positive discussion about preventative measures, because I feel like if people just paid adequate attention, a lot of these things would not happen. Right. So I think it starts absolutely with right just paying attention. But here are the things that I would say to pay attention to. Like Terry, please, like, you know, chime in where you see fit with any of this. But how can we not start with the pack, right? So shuffling the cards adequately, watching your opponent as they shuffle, watching where the cards are, Like I think we've all had a situation where you've seen like a single card on the bottom and you feel like it doesn't move the whole time. Do not forget, as the pawn, if your opponent is not shuffling adequately, whether it be, you know, nefarious or whether it be just that they're not a good shuffler, um, you're allowed to shuffle on them every single time if you want to. Like you only get once, right? If they once they hand over the pack to you, then they shuffle again, and then you have to do it. But if they shuffle badly, that's certainly something that you can do something about. Um, right? There are people that bend cards. I've witnessed this myself. I wrote a letter on someone um, that I saw manipulating cards by bending them, fives in particular, right? And the cards would get so bent up that even when the other person was shuffling, it was clear which one was the five, and they would cut to it every time, so that that top card that got dealt was a five to them. Um, if the player is adequately paying attention, you're going to spot the bent card, get a new deck. So I would say they're two very common like deck manipulation ways that I've seen like people, you know, take things they shouldn't have there. Have you seen any other things that you want to note with when it comes to just the way that like the deck is set up?
I mean, I think you covered it. I mean, those are the really common ones.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
don't, yeah. I mean, nothing really stands out. I mean, I have heard of another player kind of fanning for his cut while the other person was more distracted by what they were going to discard.
Ooh,
And but
okay.
that's that would be an isolated thing.
Sure.
Um yeah, so I guess the message is to just be vigilant
Mhm.
and just observe things and make a mental note. And if you notice that something is a certain pattern with a player, then perhaps you'll need to send it to the ethics committee.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I mean. It's like tracking these things so that if it happens over and over again, right? Like then there is a pattern for it. And then the committee can do something about it because they can't do anything from just one random person, right? No witness, no nothing. Then it's just whoever's word against whoever's word. Um, so definitely encourage that. Another thing I would mention is anytime you're not, you know, you have the least bit of a question, right? Count the deck, right? At our grassroots club, I try to count the cards, and I let some people in the club do it. That's shout out to Mike Williamson is maybe the one of the most helpful guys I know. Who every time, as soon as he shows up at club, he's like, "Hey, can I count the decks for you?" Absolutely, Mike. Count the decks on the way in, count the decks on the way back into the card packs. You know, between games at lunch, that's a great time before you start back, right? Count the pack. Just, you know, you don't have to suit them and things like that. You can if you want to, but make sure there's 52 in there. It's the number of times where that's happened. And you know, I've heard stories where like there's been like 2 10 of hearts in a deck or something like that. And you know, that's and sometimes that happens by pure chance, but don't tell me there haven't been stories of people sneaking in cards, right? Like, you know, just it's not hard to get a red bicycle card if you know you need one. Another thing I heard just recently, and I never really thought of this one, but at the end of the game, if you are the dealer, deal yourself 7 cards. People will do that. Where it's if it's going to come down to a pegging thing, right? Like just give yourself an extra opportunity, right? Make sure you see the number of cards that your opponent has. Watch how many they deal out, right? If they do peg out on you, right, and they try to toss their cards away, like you know, it's okay to like fan them and count them and things like that. So I know that one too. That one I haven't witnessed myself, but I've heard about that one. Um, and then I think probably the most common cheating of all of them is just in the pegging, right? Like a haul and lumber, as they call it. And I feel like that one is so easily avoidable. Again, if you just pay attention, none of us, none of us have ever like have can say they have never accidentally overpegged, right? Overcounted, overpegged, whichever it is. We have all done it. And just because you do it once doesn't mean that you're a cheater. But when people do it over and over and over again, my suspension of disbelief starts to go away quickly there.
Yeah, over pegging is like what you alluded to, hauling wood, and I think that's the most common version of cheating. But it doesn't involve the deck so much that
Sure.
the latest
Yeah, we are just talking
controversy
about
is
any cheating on the whole.
right.
Yeah. So, like, I'd say that's one of the common ones. And there are even little things like, and I wish I did not properly prep this element of it, but one of the things that I do in my practice, maybe this is just something for everybody to do. Like, I got a deck of cards right here. I'll pull this out. And I remember reading this in the Delin Culvert book, right? Play Winning Cribbage, for anybody who hasn't read it. Like, shame on you if you haven't. But right, you get dealt a hand. Right here, 6 cards off of this one here. Right, this is a pretty bad hand I just dealt myself too, by the way. But so be it. Right, you throw the cards to the crib and you hold your hand. One of the things I do is just like a practice. You never know if people have marked cards and things like that. When I'm holding my hand, I hold it like this, right? Or I cover it wholly, right? And there is no reason for every player to have my cards be totally fanned out. Just another thing that you can do is right, just because you take precautions in case someone is cheating does not mean that they are a cheater. Right.
Mhm.
It's just protecting yourself as you need to. I feel like that's one that maybe gets missed a little bit. That protects with a lot of the right, like the mark cards things, the bent cards that happen. Like if that happens, right, then so be it. And that's how, you can kind of hide those. So but honestly, the Holland wood, Holland lumber, like overpegging, whatever you want to call it, I would say is by far the most common one. But again, just watch your opponent, watch as they peg. I've heard all kinds of stories of people where it's like they'll move real quick and with like the back of their hand kind of yank their back peg up a little bit and then take more or things like that. If you're watching, those things are really, really hard to get, or a lot harder to get away with.
I know of one instance where a player he took no, excuse me, he said the wrong amount. So let's say it was a 7-point hand.
Mm-hmm.
He said 9 points, but still took his 7 just to see if my eyes would go down onto his pegs to confirm it.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I did that, he knew, okay, I can't haul wood on this guy.
Or at least it's tougher, right? You see
It, it,
somebody who's like vigilant, paying attention.
it was a test. And I passed the test, but not everybody will. And those players will be targets of that type of a player who utilizes those tactics.
Yeah. Yeah. And at some point, like I know I've pinged before some people who have been, like big time in the poker world, right? Like Brian Gurdon was like manager of a poker room, right? Haley Hintz, like a professional poker writer, and like those two off the top of my head. Like it's card playing, y'all. And like cheating has been a part of card playing as long as card playing has existed. Like I think it's abhorrent, right? And I think it's debatable some of the tactics that I've heard of people say, like whether something is like ethical or not, right? Like if you have somebody who's just a bad dealer and they flash all the cards as they're dealing them, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't think it's appropriate to watch that and use that to your advantage. But that's I wouldn't go as far as to call that as like full on cheating, but I do find that to be unethical. Right? Like you
Yeah.
probably had somebody before. It's like they're flashing all kinds of cards and things like that. Like I try to be like, hey, or just try to look away. But say to somebody like, hey, the way you're dealing, you don't have to mansplain it or anything, but maybe, hey, I keep seeing the bottom card. Like maybe don't do that. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that and just general etiquette is important.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, etiquette at a cribbage table. It's I don't know of any of us who hasn't seen some pretty harsh things there. So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I can think of the actual like cheating things for the time being. But I would love to. This is a good one for the mailbag. Like, please email really anything on any of these topics to cribbagepodcast@gmail.com. I'm really curious to hear anybody's like point of view on this stuff. And again, I like we're not professional journalists here. I feel like this is an interesting story, and we'll try to keep everybody aware of it as it develops. But I feel like it's important talk about the things that are happening within the organization. Right. Like, and, Terry and I have opinions, and I feel like our job to, the reason why y'all listen to it is, I mean, maybe because you think I have the most brilliant sense of humor ever, but I feel like, right, y'all are listening because you want content about cribbage. These things are happening within this organization, and to hear our opinions on like what we think of these things. So we're gonna give those things to you. Like, at least my opinion on this whole shebang, it's sad, and it's a tragedy no matter what, right? It's a tragedy if there's a what from all appearances is a rising star in the cribbage community that might not be like doing things the right way. And it's a tragedy if somebody who is doing things the right way has accusations against them. Either way, it sucks, and it's really all there is to it. Like, it stinks, and I hope that, and I want to put my faith in the organization to do the right thing, to follow the procedures, and right, if procedures aren't right, fix them. Like, if people screw up procedures, right, like then fix the people. But yeah, we'll follow this as it goes on. So, all right. So, the competitive cribbage long match is in progress, and we are almost completely finished with the first round. One of us in the show is still alive. One of us in the show is not still alive. Terry Cushman, do you have any comments? Being that you were in the Battle of the Terrys, the battle of for North America Terry dominance, and you let your country down, son.
Yeah, I played Terry Hatto. He's from Canada, as some people may know. So it was the United States versus Canada, and we had a really good match. He was winning at one point 9-4, and then I was winning 17-13. So I went on a little bit of a run. Then he went on a major run and was winning 27-19. So that meant I had to win 4 or 5 in a row, I think.
Depending on if you get a couple of skunks, right? Yep.
Yeah, five in a row actually, without skunks. And I only won 2 more after that. I had a chance to steal another one and keep myself alive, but the second to last hand of the game, he had a really junk hand. I couldn't read it. He pegged extremely well with it. And then I think that got him like 8 out, and he had to peg 1 or 2 the next hand and was able to do it, and ended up beating me 29-23. And he was fantastic. He mixed his cards up really well. He was a little tricky, as I can be at times, and extremely aggressive on 4th Street when he had to be. So I was impressed.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you had like a nice time, like win or lose, right? That's what I want in matches, right? Whether they be like internet long matches or in person, right? Like if I've had playoff matches where I've lost and it's been like, that was a really good experience. And I've also had ones where it's been a really, really terrible experience. There's one person that like I maybe wouldn't have allowed into this long match because I had such a rough experience with this person. If there was an ethics committee for like the online play, but that's another story. So let me run through the results so far. We still got 2 matches pending, is my understanding. So we'll just go from top to bottom of the bracket here. Clay Collier defeated Mark Hofschild. Paul Gregson defeated Wendy Fuso. So that's a pretty good second round matchup right there. Clay against Paul. Kelly Holt defeated Megan Player. Jim Cassandro defeated Ted Panos. And both those guys were in Phoenix. Nice guys. I like both of them. And I bet that was a good match. So it'll be Jim against Kelly Holt. Let's see. Ed May defeated Rob Witters. Scott Early defeated Andy Wagner in what I dubbed the kind of one of the tip top matchups of that first round. That was 29-25. That's a match I would have liked to have watched. Sarah Sandy squeaked by Denise Thornton. Arnie Gallagher defeated Jamie Fincher. I saw Jamie was way down in that one and came back and made it at least like a decent score. So good for Jamie for putting a rally on Arnie there, although she came up short. Derek Murchie over Vicky Humphrey. Rick Allen over Ellen Emery Johnson. Scott Sand over James Ravenscroft in what, I think we both kind of thought was A+ matchup of the first round. James, by the way, won another tournament over the weekend, right?
He did.
What a superstar that guy is. So good for him for running it too. It's bad form to win a tournament that you run. I don't know. I've never officially run a tournament. So
it happens a lot, I notice.
Yeah. I wonder if there's stats to run on that, like the percent of people who run tournaments. Anyway, okay, we'll keep it moving here because we got a bunch to get through. Jim Heron defeated Tim Kunst. Eric Locke defeated Chris Bailey. Myself, Jason Matheny, defeated Debbie Stern. Very, very nice lady. She got very, very bad cards that day. Then we have Terry Haddo, of course, over Terry Cushman, as we already talked about. Steve Atkins over Mike Kroom. Kendra Munkazy squeaked by Matt Binkowski 29-27. Boy, that's, the winner take all, one last game is it's a tough situation on there. I think that's the closest one I saw of all the first round matchups. Alan Josephson defeated Mark. Ryan Huffman defeated Eric Connolly. Yo Goon, I'm still working on that name. Yo, I'm sorry. Defeated Michael DeHart. Let's see. Jeff Bovitz and Mike Delana still to be determined. Brett Henderson over Jacob Zinicola. That's a big score. 31-4 on that one. That's probably some wild cards on that one. Credit to him. Robert Milk over Lori Boyer. David Hayes over Vicky Marchand. Kai and Bestie Wanda still to be finished, although I think they're pretty close. Canadian Jordan, our commissioner, comes through with a win over Christopher Stark. So I think the Canadians are undefeated in this. What is this, hockey? There might be another Canadian in here that I have not noticed. Don Prostic over Mike Poole. Stephen Dugas over Ben Lewis. Rick Shea over Terry Carter. John Schaefer over Stephen Podolsky. Kevin Anderson over Jason Stauffer. And Voldemort over Lisa Humiston. That takes us through the entire first round. So we'll run through the fantasy draft here. And what we're going to do is just pick players in this who you think best chance to win it. So believe it or not, Terry, I was able to find the Nickel of Destiny. It's back. It's I'd say a bad penny, but it's a good nickel.
Just in case the Quarter of Destiny was ready. Heads.
Right. So heads. It is a head.
I'm gonna pick second.
Do you have the bracket up?
Yes.
Because I feel like that is part of this, right? Is strategically looking at matchups, where people are at, things like that. Well, so since you have deferred, I think that's a sharp move. Although I'm gonna hate myself for doing this, but I'm gonna take Voldemort first. I just, I have a bit of a conflict of interest in the other big matchup that's going on there. And so I just kind of have to take Rob on there. I kind of like the bottom of the bracket a little better too, in terms of path. Not that there are too many soft games, but I feel like he's got a bit of an easier path than some of the other folks in here.
Okay.
So
I am going to take with my first pick. No offense. I have to take the GOAT, Eric Locke.
Okay. So, and for those who don't know, Eric is my next matchup in this, and we're actually playing tomorrow. Okay. So if I am offline for a little while tomorrow, you know why. That's all right. You know what? I like a challenge here, and I've beaten Eric before in a long match, and I'm gonna whoop his ass. So I look forward to proving you and all the haters wrong. So you say no offense taken. I say offense taken, sir. And I look forward to proving all of you wrong. So, all right, you've got one more pick here before it flips back to me.
I just want to say I have too beaten Eric in a long match, but I lost the other 4. My second pick is going to be Scott Sand.
Okay. Yeah, Scott's fantastic. One of the best peggers that I know. He holds some weird, but he tends to make them work. I agree. I think that's a pretty good pick. Okay. For my next pick, let me just look over the board here. see who I want. All right, I'm gonna take Kinder Munkazi on this one. I'm gonna stick with the Northeasterners. Just I make no secret that I think Kinder's game is fantastic, and I think I can avoid playing her until the finals, the semifinals after I beat Eric, until the finals. So again, I kind of like that bottom end of the bracket a little bit more. So I'm going there. And then for my next pick, I kind of thought whoever won that matchup was going to go kind of far. So I'm going to take Scott Early with my next pick. Just again, Scott, I have a lot of respect for him as a player. So in a long match format, I do feel like you see the better players kind of kill it. So
Okay. So I get my last two here.
correct.
I was actually very strategic. I probably would have taken Kelly Holt before I took Scott Sand, but I risked it, assuming you wouldn't take him. So Kelly Holt is going to actually be my third pick. And then, you know what? I'm going to pick the guy that beat me just because I was that impressed. So I'm going to take Terry Hatto with my last pick.
Okay. It kind of shows you, right? Like this field, right? We've already taken 7 people, and I feel like I've got I could go 5 more deep with this. There's a lot of very good names still on this list, and I feel like whoever I pick here, I'm going to leave out multiple very good players as I'm kind of buying myself time to try to figure out what the heck I want to do. No, you know what? Screw it. I know exactly what I'm doing here. I'm taking me. I'm taking me. All right. I feel like online play. I feel like I play better online than I do in person. I feel like the speed of the game just kind of catches me in the right way. I've beaten Eric before, and I'll whoop his ass again. So Eric, I'm coming for you. Like, bring it on. Give me your best game. And I'm still gonna whoop you, even if you bring your A game. That's all there is
Cutting
to
a
it.
WWE style promo here.
Yeah, to learn from the best, Terry Cushman. Like, break out my inner rock or Stone Cold here. So I was more of a rock guy than a Stone Cold guy, especially when he's a bad guy. But that's another story. All right, so mailbag. I really had anything in the mailbag other than hands. So y'all get to it. Give me a few more. I bet the mailbag will be a little busier this week, considering everything we talked about, but who knows? So let's just go to the hands that we have available here. Give me 1 second, pull these up. Did you submit any? Because I got a bunch of them here. 2? Okay. I got to reload the page then. Give me 1 second as I buy time. There's the Terry hands here. Some fun ones from over in Phoenix and at Grassroots and things like that. And a special guest submitted a hand this week as well, like one that I had not heard from. All right, here we go. Let's do the screen share, and we are good to go. So the first hand is a Terry Cushman hand. So let me adjust the screen so it'll show who it is while you explain this one.
Okay, so this was my tragic hand of the weekend. Had I played it differently, I would have qualified for the main on Saturday. So that hand, okay, I should actually explain the positioning rather.
Yeah, probably so. That might help.
Yes. So I am in the 97 hole, 24 points from the end. I would say that's clinging to position. I'm not super comfortable there. I'd like to be 1 or 2 more points forward, ideally. But I'm in the 97 hole, dealing. Pone is 105. I am dealt ace, deuce, deuce, 8, 9, queen. And all but the deuces are spades. So if you want to hold the flush, it would be ace, 8, 9, queen.
Okay. This is a good one. Being that you were just clinging to position, I feel like in almost any other spot on the board, I would feel comfortable throwing 8-9, even though I don't love it, but it's hard to turn down the potential of that one. However, only needing to deal from 24, breaking down from a net 6 to a net 4 is not a move that I'm comfortable with in this spot. And so in this spot, I'm going to throw the twos. I just think there are too many misses that, like, even if we cut like a king, right, which in a lot of spots you would say is like a decent cut for this here. I don't feel very good about my chances to be anywhere close to comfortable getting out. So I feel like holding ace, deuce, deuce, queen there is too much of like just rooting for the home run in a spot where, like, I don't need a home run here. I need a double, to put it in baseball parlance for you. So I think it's a bad idea to hold the ace 2-2 queen in this spot. So I will hold the flush and toss the deuces.
You failed to qualify also based on the way it was cut. I went that way. So I kept the flush like you did, and I just thought it's not a bad pegging hand, and you're throwing a pair to the crib. I thought it was pretty good. The only person that agreed with me was Ted Panos. Both the Sands, Dan and Scott, disagreed and would have thrown the 8-9, but we cut a2, so I would have had a dozen hand. What I did end up having was the 4 spades that I started with, so I only had 4 points, and then I had 6 points in the crib because of the 3 of a kind, and was still way out. So, and it turned out I would have had a 5-point crib because he did throw a 7 to it. So I would have had 12 and at least 5. And I'm not sure if I would have got the deuces in during the pegging. So that was my most unfortunate hand of the weekend. And I had a epic collapse also. I lost 4 of my last 6, or was it 6 of my last 8? I can't remember. It was an epic collapse. Let's put it that way. But that was game 22, and I had a chance to salvage it. And also the other tragic thing was for him to be in the 105 hole, he had a 2-2 the hand before, dealing from 21 or 22 out. And so like it was like all of a sudden it was a gift from the gods, and then I screwed it up anyway in the end. So.
I don't know if this is a screw up. I'm curious, like I respect, the minds in this game and the way they suggest to play hands, but just like if I was maybe like a little further back, then I think you can make the case for the 8-9. But this might, in my opinion, this is a case of bad luck, not bad strategy.
Okay.
It so could have been. You've only got really 6 good cuts with the ace 2-2 queen. You just happen to cut one of them. And really, like a 2 cut, all things said and done there, it's not a bad cut for that one. It's just, you probably got a little unlucky that you couldn't get any pegging with that flush hand. So I'm going to call that an agree. Do we have a current standings of our agree versus disagree?
I was
going into this week.
I was just checking. The last one I can find, it's 49 agree, 42 disagree. So I'm just trying to see if there was another page somewhere with a higher total, but perhaps that, here it is. No, I got it now. So it was 54. I'm just going to bring it to this page. Excuse me, 55 to 45 is actually what the outcome was. I'm glad I found that.
See, we missed 1 week and we're all thrown off.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, so mark it down as an agree at this time. Although, I want you to go on the record here. So have you changed what your opinion is on that hand, or do you still think that's the way to hold it? Right after you've talked to people, after you've opined, after you've kind of thought about it, do you still think the flush is right, or do you think going the other way is the way to do it?
I think in hindsight, I probably would have switched it up. 24 is a long way back.
It is, but I feel like you're leaving yourself drawn real thin there. So okay, all right. So I don't know if you want to call that an agree or disagree at this point.
I marked it as an agree because that's how I played it. So
okay,
that's how I dictate it.
All right, another Terry hand here. We'll move forward.
Okay, so this was kind of I don't know if you want to call it a fun one or not. Maybe just an interesting one. So I was playing Steve Hasty in this game, and so this was out in Phoenix as well. And I am dealing in the 104 hole, and Steve is pwn in the 102 hole, 2 points behind me. And I am dealt 555 779.
Okay. To me, this is a no-brainer. Like I
We're gonna disagree.
Okay.
I've already marked it down.
I think throwing the sevens is how this has to be. Right, I just want to make sure I'm confirming this correctly. You are the dealer, yes?
I am the dealer.
Like you
Yeah.
marked it correctly. Yeah. Like I want the sure 8 points in my hand. I'm throwing a guaranteed 2 to the crib. I've got enough of a gap there with the 5 and the 9, particularly since I'm throwing 2 sevens. Like I don't think my opponent is likely to lead a 7. Like I just yeah, this is right. Worst case scenario, I get 1 peg, I throw the sevens, and assuming my opponent doesn't have a gigantic hand, what's the worst I'm at? 115 going into the next hand? Yeah, I'm okay with that, right? I think too many things can go wrong if I throw both the 5s or try to do something really sneaky. So I think sevens is the way to hold this one.
Okay, so I that was my immediate thought was, and maybe not necessarily the sevens, but keep the 3 5s together was my immediate thought. And the more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable I got that I could just get absolutely destroyed here pegging. And so at the last second, I said, you know what? I'm just going to throw 2 of the 5s. And hopefully, I'll be able to steer clear or perhaps peg if I feel that it's safe enough to do so, depending on how it's sequencing out. But so that's kind of where I landed on it. And I don't remember what was cut. I just remember I did win the game. I don't remember it being super dramatic either, but yeah, 2 5s for me.
Yeah, it's like an Indian food level spicy disagree here. I feel like throwing the 2 5s here, like if I was trying to lose this game, I think that's the most common path to losing this one is, of course, your opponent catches a big hand or whatever it is. You can't really control too much of that, but like, like it's not likely, but you could have a 2-2 from throwing the 2 5s there. More than likely, right? What do you have 4 points in your hand here and say you only end up with like 4 in the crib somehow, right? I feel like that's how you lose this game, not because you get trapped. I mean, even holding 5 5 5 9, I feel like it's pretty hard to get in too much trouble with the pegging there, right? Even if they lead a 7, then I think I'm just comfortable playing one of my 5s. If they play the 6, just drop the 9 at that point, and I'm kind of out of trouble. Like, I'm not thrilled about it, but a lot. I mean, I'm trying to picture like what's the worst hand that they could have here, right? Like 6 7 8 8 or something like that. Just I'm not really afraid of that.
Yeah, I mean, deuces, 3s, and 4s, depending, but I don't know. I just felt like, I didn't feel like I was going to get a 2-2, and I'd be close enough to still go out the next hand.
Okay. All right. It makes for a better show if we disagree, although we never, we never try it. But yeah, mark that down as a, red pen disagree or something else. So, all right. So this came via the mailbag from Jim. How do I say his name again? It's Heron, right? I just Heron.
Yeah.
Huron. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry, Jim. I keep screwing that one up. Okay. So, by the way, cribbagepodcast@gmail.com is the best way to submit these. I get people like text me hands. I'm like, don't do that. Don't do this. Send it to the mailbag. So you are first count in hole 62. Your opponent is dealing in hole 50. And the hand is ace, 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 5 5 10. So
Without Yeah, without much hesitation here, I'm just going to chuck two aces. I think we covered on a recent episode. Very seldom does it ever really burn me, and even when I'm trying to load my own crib with two aces, I never usually have more than 4 to 6 points because of it. So, and they're well back here, pretty far back. They would have to align the stars to get to the 80 hole to have a shot at blowing past the 90 hole when they're pwn in the next hand. So, and by holding ace 5 5 10, I mean, you're setting yourself up for an easy 10 hand. And, a four helps, a nine helps. So, two aces for me.
Well said. I agree. The easiest way to lose this game is to play this meekly and end up short because your opponent, right,
Mhm.
dealing in 50 is 20 points short of position. Um, if you make your marks and then make it up 20 points, they would have to have something really, really special have to happen. So yeah, the aces here don't scare me much. Yeah, maybe you could make a case for 10 ace if the position were a little bit differently, but yeah, the aces here don't scare me very much. So thank you for the submission there, Jim. I wonder one day if we should do like a prize for like hand of the week that somebody submits. Just thought, if we ever do t-shirts or whatever. So, all right, this one came from Canadian Jordan. I thought this one was intriguing. So you are first count in hole 99. Your opponent is dealing in hole 97, and the hand is 4 4 5 5 10 queen. I had a similar hand to this in the National Open in a rubber match. Um, I think it was something else. I don't remember what the true hand was, but I credit Jordan. I feel like this is a fun one.
Yeah, it took me till just now to finally decide. I don't think I'm quite close enough here to keep the 5 5 10 queen. So I'm actually just going to throw the 10 queen here and keep the 4 4 5 5. I mean, a six gets you out, a three will get you just as close as a face card cut would if you kept the 10. Um, I don't love it because my opponent's borderline in position here, but there's no comfortable hold here, so I'm just gonna throw the 10 queen.
I agree. You're holding two of the fives already, so throwing 10 queen is a little less scary. In this spot, right? He doesn't have two fives to hold. In fact, chances are he does not have a five in his hand. So, and I feel like, right, this is an all defense spot. You're in, of course, if you cut the six or you cut the three, maybe you navigate a little differently. But if you cut something neutral here, right, like it can go badly, of course, within the pegging. It depends on your opponent, what they're capable of. But like 4 4 5 5 here, feel like I can try to fade somebody off the pegging a little bit here. Like maybe there's a case somewhere. Like, do you think? And again, I do agree, but do you think maybe queen four is worth a consideration at all?
I thought about it, but I just feel like the 10 queen is just they can miss real easily with that. They throw a middle and a low card, they're gonna miss.
Yeah, it's stopper, right? Like it's like
Mhm.
queen 10 could be a stopper, and like right, most of the time you're gonna lose this game according to the position, right? You're in 99, they're in 97. Like they're literally one hole ahead of where they should be. And unless you cut something silly here, but like right, the six is literally a cut, you are no worse than 7% or whatever it is, 4 out of 46 to win the game here. Take your chances when you got them. So yeah, I agree with you here. Thank you, Jordan, for that hand. All right, here's one that came from Grassroots. This was not my hand. This was somebody else's, but I thought it was interesting. So it's first hand out of the box. It is the opponent's crib, and the hand is 5 6 7 8 9 9.
Yeah, not a ton of hesitation on this one either. I'm just gonna throw 5 9 and keep
Okay.
the 6 7 8 9.
Okay. I thought there were two options here, and I kind of opted the other way here. Right, kind of the Matheny big hand theory, if you want to call it that. Like I'm just holding my 10 points here. Like I'm first hand out of the box. Like I will live with the variances I need to. Like Of course, 5-6 can go very, very badly here, but like sometimes I think of these hands where it's like, and by the way, literally this hand was against me out of the box, and like, what would I least want my opponent to hold in a spot like this? 7-8-9-9 is what I want them to, like, the least thing that I want them to do here. So, but I think 5-9 is reasonable. I just, like, I'll hold the 10.
I just think I'm only shorting myself 2 points, and it's a safer throw, and there's a lot of pathways to 16. So
There
those were
are.
my thoughts. Yeah.
Okay. And again, I think that's a reasonable option. I like the other route just a little bit more. That is I don't know what you want to call that one. If it's not the Indian level spicy, that's like the I don't know, the pepperoncini spicy, the little peppers that are in like the side salads. Like it's like one of
Yeah.
those. It's not very spicy. All right. This is one I feel like we've all seen this hand before, but I think there's just a smidge of nuance to this. This is a game where I was pretty far ahead. So you are first count in hole 72. Your opponent is dealing in hole 42. So you're whole street ahead. And the hand is 2-3-3-6-9 king. There's nuance here, and I'm kind of curious how you see this one. I will speak up in that I think I blew this the way I did it, and I feel very differently about how I would hold this one now. So, with that all being said,
So if let's say we were tied in the 83 hole, okay, and I need to get into position, I would throw 6-9 here with no hesitation whatsoever, just to point my way into position. But in this spot, I actually would throw the deuce king and keep the 3-3-6-9, because I feel like if I'm holding two of the threes, their chances are they're not going to have a very good crib. And 3-3-6-9 is typically relatively safe in the pegging as well. So with that big lead, I'm just content to just kind of sit on it and still have a shot at a monster hand here. Anyway, so this is a very situational hand for me, but in this situation, I'm throwing deuce queen.
so that is what I did. Deuce king, by the way, for the record, just for clarity's sake.
Okay.
You said deuce queen. There's no queen here, but
Oh,
not
sorry,
everybody's
deuce
watching
king.
this. Yeah, deuce king. That's how I originally held this, and I think I did it wrong. I think king 6 is the throw here. Right. I think the power of holding 2-3-3 together here is important, and like I do agree with the lead that you have. Right, holding a decent hand here is still a good idea. You still want to do that, but I think you still accomplish everything you want to accomplish with throwing king 6 here. They're pretty much all the cuts that help that 3-3-6-9 also still do pretty good with 2-3-3-9 here. And then you've got all those cuts, right? The ace and the 4, and any face card gets you to 8 points. Just I think that specifically is the hold here. You're not getting into skunk range no matter what you cut here. Even if you hold the 3-3-6-9 and cut, what's the perfect card there? I guess the 3, right? Then you're still not really in skunk range. You're going to be dealing at, at best like 90, something like that. So, and that's with your perfect card. Now, I think I'd rather do it the other way. And king 6, of course, is just a better toss to the crib than king deuce.
It is. Yeah, that's a fair hold. So am I putting it as agree or disagree?
I mean, you said 3-3-6-9, so if you want turn tail now, like that's up to you. That's between you and your god.
Okay. No.
So
All right.
no, that's a disagree because I am disagreeing with myself here in the way that I did that. So
okay.
All right, another little nuanced one here, which I thought was kind of interesting. So you are first count in hole 73. Your opponent is dealing in hole 63. And this is one of these when you pick up a hand, you go, oh no, like, right? Can't I just have a bad hand? It's 8, 9, 10, queen, queen, queen. So
this hand sucks. I'm throwing 8-10.
Sucks as in you think that's an easy choice, or sucks as in you
I
just
just
don't like the
it's
hand,
I
or
hate it. I hate the whole situation. I hate that I'm not keeping a shot at 15 rather, but
Mhm.
I'm just not willing to throw 8, 9 when they're relatively out of position.
I ultimately agree with you, right? 8-10 is what I did, and I think that's what there is to do. But could I interest you in a queen 8 here? Could I interest you in a breaking of this, of just queen 9? Right? Your opponent's dealing in 63. You don't really need points here. Like queen 8, and you got yourself a cut at 10 points still. Like, is 8-10 too risky for this spot? Like if you're gonna break it up, right? Break it up.
Play D, right? Like Gary says.
You gotta play D, but just I agree with you. For the record, I am team 8-10 here. That's what I did. I stand by. That's the way to do it. But it's a thinker. Like I hate this one, right? If I could like get a redeal when I get a hand like this is the kind of ones I want to do. But like this is what we do on this show is besides talking about big scandals, we try to parse through the little teeny tiny edges of like these things and to pull as much as you can out, squeeze everything from every hand that you can. Like, is there, right, it's not like 9 queen 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 is there's a whole lot to draw at,
Mhm.
right? So is there a case to break this further? I just asking to ask.
I'm probably just keeping the 3 queens together, honestly.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I ultimately agree with you. I just, to me it's fun to talk through these. All right, this is one that I had. I think this is another one that I had. This is from qualifying in Phoenix, playing against show listener Ted Panos, who by the way eventually beat me in the playoffs. I think like I beat him in the consolation playoffs on Friday, and then in the main
Yeah.
playoffs on Sunday, he took me out. And we had a very, very nice match. A nice guy. I like Ted. Well, anyway, so you are first count in hole 70. Your opponent is dealing in hole 69, and the hand that you have been dealt is 5-5, 10-10, Jack Queen. So again, I think there's a little nuance here, but I'm ready to hear that you disagree.
I just think 10 queen is the way to go.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
Right? Break in 2 points here, win a spot where you don't really need it. Like there's certainly no right. It's either 10 queen or Jack Queen here, right? There's no other route to take.
I mean, I didn't consider anything else. Like right away, I'm like, oh, this is trouble. 10 queen is my safest play. So
Okay. What point would you have to be at to throw Jack Queen here?
oh,
If you're in like 80, do you hold the dead 12?
I would say at least 80. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's about my line on it too. If I was like 75, I think I'm still throwing 10 queen.
Mhm.
But to me, this was one just it's like, I just need a little finesse on this one. It's like, why can't that stupid, like if the queen is king, then I'm throwing king jack. But yeah, this one was one that like hurt me just when I looked at it. So all right. I think all right, here's our last one, and it's special guest here, Brian Gurdon, with his first ever submission to the podcast. He approached me in Phoenix with this one, which I thought was kind of interesting. So, by the way, he's still killing it. Brian is
Yeah.
I think he is well pacing towards the record. So,
He's over it. Yeah. He's beyond the pace, I would say.
yeah, I'm sure he knows every single little thing about every single little thing of his plans here. So, okay, so superstar Brian Gurdon. He's a bit. Does Brian have a nickname? We need a nickname for like Brian. Is he just the pit boss or what? What do we call? Like there's no nickname for like Gurdon. Like
I don't know. I think you got to let the season play out before you figure it out. But
no, not for me. Like nicknames are a thing. Like we got to figure out. So there you go. There's a perfect one for the mailbag. Like Cribbage Podcast at gmail.com. The best nickname for Brian. By the way, he's somebody who's kind of fun to screw with. Like I like Brian. He's funny. Like he's somebody I really like to. I try not to use too many curse words on this show, but screw with is the way I'll say it. And, like, we had a few laughs in the playoffs, and, like, my cards were for the record, like, I did win the match, but, like, my cards were way, 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 way better. Like, we did not have we played like a bingo match. Anyway, here's his hand. So you are first count in hole 107, so you've 14 out. Your opponent is dealing in hole 104, and there is a flush in play here, but I'll read that one after. So the hand is 2, 5, 7, 10, 10, king. If you are flushing, it is 2, 5, 7, 10. I remember when he gave this to me to submit it. I still don't have a great consensus. I don't feel super strong, but I think there are two very distinct roads here. But what do you think, Terry?
I think you have to hold either the flush or the pat 8.
Well, no kidding, but like, I mean, if you find another route here, I'm really impressed. But right, yeah, there's two very distinct roads here. I think I know where I feel on this one, but again, like, I'll reserve comment. I'll let the boy king here, Terry Cushman, give his.
I think I have to hold the pat 8 here. It's not the easiest hand to cut into, but a face card cut gets me to at least 4 points out by the end of this, and will give me a fair chance to peg out the next hand. So I'd love to play it the fun way and, keep the flush and lead the deuce and try to peg anywhere from 2 to 4. But I have to play it somewhat conventionally here. So I'm going to throw the deuce 7.
I agree. If my opponent were dealing just a little bit further back, right, like 99, maybe even 100, then I think I could give a little more consideration to king 10 here. But at 104, right, like, I feel like they, even if you can guarantee you throw them king 10 and they have a blank crib, I still don't like my chances to win the game. Right, like, it's there's nothing I can cut into. Even if I pick my card out of the deck, right, holding that flush, which I guess I would pick the 6 of hearts out, maybe the 8 of, the 8 of hearts is pretty good too. But like, right, if I pick my card out of the deck, I'm still not out, and I still have to peg some. So yeah, I think I'm holding the 10, 10, king 5, and just reach in for that 10 or that 5 in the deck, right? You've got 5 outs to win the game right then and there. Don't love it, but I feel like that's the best route to potentially winning. So,
That's
yeah. All right. So we're pretty agreeable today, Mr. Cushman. Like,
yeah. So the new total here is 61 to 48.
Okay, that's like a baseball team. You know better than I would. That's like a baseball team that's on its way to the playoffs, right?
It
Like,
is, yeah.
that's like a pennant team, that type of thing. So,
Mhm.
all right. Well, thank you everybody for all the submissions. As I blink this screen away here, and yeah, everybody, appreciate everybody hanging with us this week. This is a show that, I don't know, we just never really thought we were going to be doing on this one, right? It's a tricky topic, and it's like, and I don't want to speak for you, Terry, but like, I think anything we feel and opine about these things, we love this organization, and we love this game, and like, we want it to be better, right? And like, speaking as somebody who is on the board of directors, like, a lot of those who are on the board have a very, very, very hard job, and it comes with the territory that there's criticism to be had within those things. But that's, it's like, there's an easy solution if you don't want to be criticized about like the decisions you make in those things, and that's, don't be on the board, right? But like, so I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but like any criticism that comes from these things comes from me a place of love, of like, I want this organization to be better. I think I've been very vocal about some of the things I hate about the organization in terms of like lack of technology and the other things. I mean, the fact that we're the only cribbage podcast that ever existed, right? Social media channels for the group and stuff like that. But I don't know, like, this was like, I'll transparently, I laid awake a little bit at last night trying to think, how am I going to do a show? How are we going to do a show and talk about this stuff and do it the right way? And so hopefully we did that okay. Hopefully y'all feel, I don't know, like informed about the things that are going on without us being like total muckrakers. Like I don't think I'm going to be mistaken for Walter Cronkite or, pick your news journalists that you appreciate of choice, but like just trying to do the right thing by everybody involved in this stuff.
I just want a fair process where it's handled in a way that's black and white, and I want accountability from all sides. That's what I would like to see at the end of this.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that specifically doesn't want that, but that's perhaps to be debated on another show. So, all right. Well, that being said, I guess we'll close it up for this week. Thank you everybody for listening again. Good luck everybody still alive in the long match. Would love to get anybody's recaps or thoughts on how those things went in the mailbag, cribbagepodcast@gmail.com. But again, like we welcome anybody's opinion. And again, like with any of this stuff, like I welcome anybody's thoughts on what they think of this stuff. There's a line between productive conversation and idle gossip. And I think there are a lot in the organization that, I don't know, maybe like cross that line. Like I'm not a gossiper, Terry. I'll respectfully like are kind of a bit of a gossiper. Like, but
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm always asking questions. I'm trying to figure out what's real and what's not, and part of that is, is asking questions and comparing responses and trying to figure out what's real and what's not.
yeah, I agree with you on that. So, and to be honest, I'll say it like my opinion out there. Like, I'm glad you posted your letter to the ethics committee. Right. I think transparency is a very good thing. But I also understand from the organization's side of view, like why they try to, I don't know, like protect those. Like if somebody writes some crackpot letter on me, says that like I'm a jerk or something like that, for that to be like published, I may not love that very much. Now, why do I feel like I'm inviting that by even saying this on the program? Yeah, it's somebody.
Badge of honor, I would say. I wouldn't lose any sleep over that at all.
As far as I know, I've never had any like charges against me within the organization, but it's who knows, man. The night is young, right? Like many things could still happen. So, all right. Well, for Terry Cushman, Jason Matheny here from the Mothership, wishing everybody good cards. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great week.